With that, we'll go ahead and move on to item 7, comment from council members. We're going to go to first one, Mr. Tom Hamilton. And the bullet point here is discuss establishing a rotation for pairs on council members to hold virtual town hall meetings with the public on a quarterly basis to provide residents with a more direct opportunity to interact with council members, discuss city issues, and ask questions. Mr. Hamilton.
All right, thank you. So hopefully this won't take long to discuss. And thankfully the staff will appreciate this is an item that requires no staff input, no staff work, no budget. This is just something for the 5 of us. So earlier this year, Council Member Salazar and I co-hosted a virtual town hall over Zoom. It was well attended. It was well received, and I think it's something that we should continue to offer to provide the public with an opportunity to interact with us more directly than they can do through these public meetings, through public comment, where we can't respond, and or often can't respond directly, and just to kind of increase our engagement in the community. These town halls require little to no preparation. At least I didn't prepare very much. Councilmember Salazar may have, but it was just a matter of scheduling a Zoom and getting the word out as much as possible for people to show up and just being available. And we didn't run into any Brown Act issues. We didn't, there was no, it was really, low key and not a lot of preparation required. And I really think that this is something that we should get a little bit more organized around. So it's not just something that happens on the whim when 2 of us decide to want to do one, and it's something a little bit more. If we can come together on how to do it and try to offer them maybe once a quarter. And also, I think it would be a great idea for us to informally vary the pairing, so it's not always the same 2 going together, and to show the public that we're one unified team, serving them. So I wanted to throw that out there and get folks' comments, and maybe if we're super lucky, a commitment for another pair to host the next one.
I unmute myself. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. I see the city attorney
there you go.
is here, so I'm not going to call on anybody at the moment. Call on the city attorney.
I've got to stop doing this. I'm sorry.
Here comes the genie, Mr. Mayor.
So only a very brief comment, and I'm sorry I didn't know in advance really that this was going to be on the agenda, so I didn't have time to do a lot of research. But I think there is a concern with respect to the Brown Act regarding varying the pairings, and the reason for that is because if you have 2, 2, and 1, which is really the only way to do it without violating the Brown Act, if the first 2 people then incorporate, let's say, the last person as part of their 2, then they really got 3 people potentially discussing and participating in a governmental decision. So this issue has come up in the composition of city council subcommittees, and the question has come up, can we rotate council members in and out of those subcommittees? And the answer is generally no, if they're ad hoc subcommittees, because then otherwise they're subject to the Brown Act. So that's the only thought that occurs to me at the moment. I don't know if other cities, for example, have a model that do it one way or another. We could certainly look into that, but that was my only sort of immediate thought when I saw this.
So given that, I mean, there are we don't have set agendas, and we just kind of follow the questions that the public are asking. So given that Councilmember Salazar and I did one of these in, I guess it was March-ish, maybe it was February, I'm not remembering now. And if it rotated back around to me and I were to pair up with Linda on the next one, it would be it's really the same in my mind. It's really the same kind of deliberation that we need to do with ourselves to make sure that we're not violating the Brown Act. So if there was something that we discussed in public on the something that I discussed with the public in the last town hall that I did, and then 8 months from now I'm in another town hall with Linda, and that same subject comes up again, maybe I would have to say, you know what, I can't talk about that one, and let Linda go. But I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out a way for us to be able to engage with the public without falling, without violating the rules, but also not being in so in this artificial bubble that we're in, that makes it impossible to have real engagement.
Right. One last comment, and then obviously other council members have thoughts, but just from a legal standpoint, obviously each individual council member can meet with constituents as they see fit on an individual basis. The issue is doing it on a sort of 2 and 2 and 1 basis. And I understand your comment about you would have to self-regulate your discussions. I have to say that over a period of months and maybe longer, the potential for inadvertent violations are really, I think, quite high in that circumstance. You might have a meeting on January 1st with constituents with one council member, and then on December 31st with a different council member, and maybe the same constituent comes back and raises the same issue, and then all of a sudden you have 3 people taking a position on a particular topic. So I guess at the moment can't advise in favor of that, but I'm happy to do some more research if the city council does wish to, to go ahead and implement this. I can come up with some advice for all of you about how to implement it so that you don't run afoul of the Brown Act. But I do think I'm relatively confident that it cannot be a rotational sort of thing, but I really would need to look at that further.
Thank you, City Attorney. Vice Mayor Medina.
Yeah, I was going to congratulate you, Tom, for Councilman Hamilton for coming up with this proposal. I see our cautious city attorney doing his job, trying to keep us from inadvertently breaking the Brown Act. So I guess we can wait to hear. Linda and I did one, I don't know, maybe in January. I don't remember. But your effort to want to engage the community, they always can call or send us an email as well. But it's great to have that Zoom meeting. It's kind of fun to encounter somebody that you haven't met before that's going to ask you a question. Let's wait and see.
Councilmember Mason.
Yeah, I was going to say thanks for putting this on the agenda, Councilmember Hamilton. I think my suggestion that I would have is that we have a listening session with the entire council as a study session. It's similar to a town hall, but we're listening to what residents want. And I do hear the city attorney, and maybe we focus on things that have already been voted on so we can discuss them if they're not going to come before us again. But I've had a couple of town halls, virtual town halls, and I generally give more updates to try to avoid Brown Act situations. So that would be a suggestion.
Okay. Mr. Salazar and I haven't commented. Just for me quickly, I know one of the best ones I had actually, well, it was obviously before COVID, was in person. And I have one scheduled next month. And a part of town I haven't been at, but it's going to be outside. But it was in regards to the Scott grade set. And that was specific topic. 50 people showed up. Those I had not seen before. So and we were very, it was very based on that one topic. And then I stuck around after, and if people wanted to talk about parking or something different, then we did that. The one that I know was done with Dave Pine, what I found interesting is everybody wanted that individual time because it was an individual situation to them, and they really was more personalized, and they didn't want a group setting. So that seemed to be successful on the town hall. The only thing, because town hall to me means everybody, and as you know, we've had some of those meetings right at the Legion Hall, but would have to be noticed if we're all there. The topics need to be listed, to my knowledge, so they can be more driven in that way. And we've gone to listening campaigns or other things that we're just there, we listen, we're hearing the community on a topic that is gathering data or it's upcoming too, just to hear from the folks. So anyway, Councilmember Salazar, do you have any?
No, I mean, I hadn't thought about, the potential for the Brown Act violation. And, when I reached out to Tom to do this, Laura Davis and I had done a couple, and Tom was brand new, and I figured, okay, it's a nice way to sort of come up with something that we can partner on. Marty and I worked on a subcommittee to come up with fees a few years back, and we got to kind of work offline. We just met down at Grand Leader and hashed out this thing on a Saturday morning. So I think those personal relationships are important. Councilmember Mason and I are on the HART committee together, so we worked on a couple of projects there. I worked on a couple of projects with the mayor. So it is nice to have those, but if doing these public meetings where that conversation, right, the conversation is not controlled, like Councilmember Hamilton brought up, it is risky. So as much as I enjoy those engagements with the community, it seems like the safest way to do it is for us to do them individually, and then let's find a way to increase the pairings on subcommittees and projects where we can each work together, so we can get that personal, we can build on those relationships, which really helps in forming a cohesive council in the long run. So those are my thoughts.
Okay, well, we thank you, Mr. Hamilton, and like the city attorney said, had he had a little more prep, maybe he could have brought some options to the table. So he's off camera now. So, but we got his advice. I was just teasing you, city attorney, and so we got some advice, and like you said, you might be able to come back but have some time to look into it and give some.
So one final comment on this. I'm going to assume that the answer is going to be don't do it. It's too risky. So if then that as Councilmember Salazar says that leaves us with having to do them solo, then I would want to make sure that we are doing them, and that we would maybe we establish a rotation where we each do one each however many months or whatever. We can hash that out, but just to make sure that they happen, just to make sure that we are engaging, and maybe we make a commitment to each other that if you, Mr. Mayor, are doing one next month, that all of us get the word out that that's happening, and just to try to make sure that everybody knows that we are trying to reach out and we're trying to engage with the community and provide these opportunities. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands, and thank you, City Attorney, and thank you for what Councilmember Hamilton is predicting, but we'll wait to hear it a little bit more. And Mr. Hamilton, was there anything else for you this evening under council comments?
No, the only other thing that I was going to bring up was already brought up earlier, which was the vaccination event through the San Mateo County Fair. It's an awesome opportunity for folks, so I might as well plug it again. If you haven't got your vaccine, you can get your vaccine for free and bring your family, get into the fair for free, and they'll even give you some free food and rides. So it's a pretty good deal. So take advantage of that if you're listening and haven't had your vaccine yet.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I just may make one closing comment, sorry. And
no, we're good. You know what? We're going to add you to city attorney.
City attorney comments.
City attorney. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, let me work with the city manager, and we'll come back with a series of options for you to implement. You can then decide how you want it.
It's some brainstorming. We get it, and I know we're in the middle of the budget, so I understand. So we understand. Okay, thank you, Councilor Mason.
Yeah, and I was also going to say, so just I guess circle on that conversation. I'm looking for some notes, but also another thought is just to group that in with what we're working on under the stronger governance. Since we're having that conversation anyway, like how do we make it a regular, reoccurring event and make it part of that larger conversation? I want to make sure this didn't get lost. That Haiwan mentioned during her presentation that they got out of a consent decree, and I know that that takes a lot of work and a lot of follow-up. So I just wanted to make sure that we commend staff for doing that. We do not want to be in consent decrees, and it's hard to get out of them. So thank you for the work on that. And then the last announcement I just wanted to make is that Supervisor Canepa is having a big reopening of the state celebration on June 15th. It's from 11 to 2:30. People can register for the event. They're looking for volunteers, and you can just Google the event, reopening Supervisor Canepa. It'll come up, and it's at Mike Nevin Way in Colma. There's going to be a barbecue, live entertainment, and I believe that they're going to have vaccinations also available. So if you can make it, it may be worth your day or your hour to enjoy the reopening celebration. Thank you.
Any other council members with comments this evening? Vice Mayor, no? I'm just going to say to show that we're, as Councilmember Mason said about the 15th of Canepa, but Sunday going to the city park and watching, once again, some traditions back, the Pee-wees, their last year playing at Diamond 2, and then having the traditional Parkside St. Robert's baseball game. Was nice to see some community out and some things returning to some normalcy, but outside doing the right thing. So kind of nice to see that we're getting there. So anyway, with that said, on a personal note, I will see all of you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And with that, we're going to go ahead and adjourn to the next regular city council meeting, which will be held on June the 22nd, 2021 at 7 o'clock via Zoom. Everybody enjoy your evening, and we'll see you soon.
Good night.